Good morning and welcome to our college assembly. Please stand as the official party enter the hall. Please remain standing and join in the singing of the national anthem.
We pause to remember the uniqueness of our land. We acknowledge and respect the generations of Tharawal people who held this land in their dreaming. We pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, you gave us bodies as well as minds and hearts with which to praise and worship you. We gather in prayer to thank you for the gift of life and the talents for participation in sport. Bless our workouts and the games we play. May they be fitting use of the gifts and talents you have given us. In Paul's letter to the Philippians, he writes, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Lord, give us strength, endurance, courage, and agility as we compete or train. We ask for a field that is fair. If we should win, we pray that our faith and our honor is held high. And if we should lose, that we stand with grace by the road and cheer as the winners go by. Most of all, help me never to quit in my efforts to be open to you. For I believe that accepting you into my life is the way to real life. I pray that I become the truly human person you destined me to be. Amen. St. Martin, St. Gregory, may our good mother, let's always remember, of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.
Please be seated. This morning at the Assembly, we will be recognising some individuals and teams for their performances during the summer sporting season, as well as presenting teams prior to the commencement of the winter sporting season. To begin our Assembly, please welcome the College Principal.
Well, good morning, gentlemen, to Brother Ernest, to our staff, parents and carers who join us today, and a very special welcome this morning to our two special guests, Chris Lawrence and Pat Richards, who are here to present jerseys this morning to our first 13 and our first 11. Chris and Pat, it's great to have you with us in our college today, and we certainly look forward to hearing from you both during the assembly today. I want to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, the Tharawal people, and I also pay my respects to their elders past, present, and the emerging leaders. Also, in our prayer this morning, let's continue to remember our Marist Brothers community here and the repose of the soul of Brother Luke. And I just again thank you all for your great respect that you showed on Monday during our Guard of Honour and during the funeral mass for Brother Luke. Gentlemen, this morning we also keep in our prayers the Marist Catholic College community at North Shore, one of our fellow Marist schools. On Wednesday evening, they lost one of their Year 9 students after a game of basketball. The young man passed away, and we keep that community definitely in our prayers this morning. Here we are at the end of week 7, and only with 3 weeks of term 1 remaining. And there's still a great deal to achieve as we move forward and complete the term in great style. But I want to use this opportunity today just to check the pulse of the college and see how we're travelling on this 2021 journey. It's been a long time since we met as a whole college on the first day, back on the 28th of January, our first day of school. And at that assembly, I put to you all some very important goals that we have as a college this year. So 6 weeks on from that first assembly, let's check how we're going as a community. At that first assembly, we acknowledge that every student in our community here is different. They are unique, all with special gifts and talents. And today is an opportunity, as we should do, rightly, to affirm those people with special gifts and talents today in the sporting arena. But we hope that the motivation, the encouragement and the hard work that all students put into their work will be affirmed this year in some way. Because as a college, that's what we do, and we do that so well here at St Greg's. We also said on that first day that we are a community of learners, and at the heart of what we do here is quality learning. And the importance of that cannot be understated. We said that our staff here are among the best I've ever worked with because of their dedication and commitment and their tireless work to ensure that you boys get the very best every single day. But on that first day, I encourage you all to support each other. This should never be a college where it's a dog-eat-dog mentality. This is a college where we reach out to others and we support each other in all our pursuits. We set high goals, we try to achieve those goals to the best of our ability, and we keep on measuring ourselves against our set goals. Something you've all heard about many times this year already is that big R, taking responsibility. And I wonder how we're going in that regard. I wonder how we're going in terms of taking responsibility for ourselves in terms of our uniform and our punctuality and our attendance at school. How we're going in terms of taking responsibility for our learning and our discipline and our respect in the classroom, and how that extends out into the community. For each of us, not only you as boys, but for us as teachers, as members of this community, we're all aiming to be the most responsible people we can be. And I know that through the St Greg's Agile Graduate model that we're trying to bring into the college, that big R, that responsibility, is one of four others. But we're concentrating on that responsibility and developing that in this early part of the year. For me, another big R that I asked you to look at is your respect. How you treat other people, how you treat your teachers, how you treat your fellow peers, your mates. And the importance of that, again, can't be understated, because our actions speak much louder than our words. It's what we do and not what we say that is really important. I asked you to act always with integrity, to have a moral framework, to have something you can lean back on, and it's rigid and it's strong and it's a great foundation for you to move forward. I asked you always in class not to be a disruptive influence, but to be a person who works hand in hand with your teacher, leading you to good learning, leading you to a place of where your potential is achieved. And I also ask you to be a leader. You don't have to wear a badge to be a leader. Every single student in our college has leadership potential, and it's us working with you to bring out that leadership potential, which is really, really important. At the opening mass at the end of week 1 or week 2, I spoke to you about a few matters too. And these are more around relational things. And I think they're important to hear again. We want you to continually to develop your growth mindset, not to be fixed. Your brain is plastic and it enables you to grow. And if we develop that growth mindset and not have a fixed mindset in things we do, then we will achieve our potential as we go forward. I want you always to remember our Maris theme this year, which is breathe the spirit of life. And I want you to take plenty of opportunities throughout the year to stop, reflect, and to breathe in that wonderful spirit that exists here at the college. And where you struggle, to reach out and ask for support. That's what we're here for. As teachers, that's what we took up this profession to do, to support the young people that we work with every day. I also asked you to ensure that there is no one in this school who feels lonely. That's a massive challenge. But for each of us here, we need people around us, people who are able to support us in our uniqueness as being individuals. So please look out for each other and support each other at all points along the way. Now we know we have some outstanding role models. We lost an outstanding role model on Monday in Brother Luke. What a fine man, and a fine role model of this college over close to 75 years. But amongst us here, we have great models in our staff, in our fellow peers, in Mary, our good mother, in St Marcellin and St Gregory. So let's look to those people. Let's look to their example to make sure that we're modelling ourselves on those wonderful people. Students, I continue to wish you every success in your pursuits that you undertake, whatever they may be. And across the first 7 weeks of this term, it's been a very, very busy start to the year with so many activities on and so many opportunities for you to achieve your potential. But I want to assure you that we are all here, the staff of this college, your families are here to support you in all of your pursuits, because you all have potential and we want to make sure that potential is achieved. So I take this opportunity to congratulate you all for the start of the year, for whatever pursuits you've been involved in, whether that be academic, our sports, our farm shows, our cultural and our spiritual pursuits. Because I can assure you that all of those contributions are greatly appreciated and build the great culture of this college. Well done to all of you, and let's keep making St Gregory's great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McMaster. The college's leader of sport and co-curricular, Mr. Cook, will now introduce our special guests, Mr. Chris Lawrence and Mr. Pat Richards.
Good morning all. Once again we come together as a college community to celebrate our sporting achievement of our teams and individuals in our MCS competitions or through our representative pathways of New South Wales CCC and New South Wales All Schools. Before I get started, I would like to introduce our two special guests. We are joined today by two NRL stalwarts. Mr. Pat Richards has 7 international caps for Ireland and 119 NRL appearances for the Parramatta Eels and West Tigers. He also played for a total of 245 games for Wigan and Catalans in the English Super League. If you jump on YouTube and search Pat, apart from his career highlights, you'll see that he has a reputation for dropping field goals. One from a goal line restart, he kicked the ball 72 metres, and on another occasion, in a regular season game, he kicked a 40-metre field goal to put Wigan ahead when scores were tied at 14-all. Chris has 6 international caps for Australia and 253 caps for the West Tigers, and has recently retired last year as a one-club man. Chris is an old boy and graduated in 2006 and actually has a plaque down on the cricket pitch for scoring a century. Apart from his career highlights, you'll see that Chris made his debut in the NRL at the age of 17. Please welcome Pat Richards and Chris Lawrence to our assembly. And I will now invite Mr. Bullock to the stage, who will discuss our special guests' playing history and their sporting achievements. Gents, if I can ask you to take centre stage.
Morning, gents. Thank you so much for coming today. It means a lot to myself, the college, and especially the boys that are receiving their first grade jersey today. Basically, as you boys know, just a little bit of a Q&A and talk to you a bit about your career and have some words of advice for the boys possibly here today. So, Chrissy, if I can start with you, what's it like being back?
Oh, it's really good. I haven't been able to get back here as much as I would have liked. There's obviously a lot of changes since I've been here last year, and obviously there's a lot more houses out the back there. A lot of the fields have changed, but some things don't change, and that's obviously the way these presentations and these assemblies take place, which brings back some old memories.
Awesome. Before we look into your illustrious career, there's a young man called Joseph Suwali who there's a big debate about him debuting in the NRL for the Roosters at the age of 17. What was the age you debuted?
Yeah, 17 as well.
17. So we've got a video here of yourself talking about that time.
Oh, here we go.
15 years ago.
I actually focused on my English exam or whatever it was. That was hard, but I had to make sure I separated. I could enjoy all the footy side of things after, made sure I could focus on what I had to do. And I suppose the next couple of days it was very hard. There was a lot of media attention around me, and I sort of probably wasn't prepared for it. Even the fact where a lot of the boys at St Greg's after every exam would just go down to hang down the local McDonald's, just like a local, as if you were sitting at a cafe having coffee. All the boys would just go down to McDonald's. And I remember after that exam, media following me and having taken photos, and I saw the boys mucking around, and I just didn't know how to sort of handle that at the time. And I remember the club a couple of days later just speaking to me about me being careful of how I'm acting around the media, even though I wasn't doing anything wrong. That they just obviously want to be able to interview and take photos of you, and you've just got to make sure that you control the situation. So it was a good wake up call and a good eye opener straight away that how I acted in public, and that I now was a sort of a public figure, and I had to make sure I was doing things right.
So having experienced that yourself, what would your opinion of Joseph Suwali, debuting at the age of 17 these days in today's game?
Yeah, look, I think it's probably a couple of things that I think there's looking at the physical side of things. I know the NRL probably put that rule in place now, a few years after me. I think there was a couple of other guys who debuted at 17, 16, a couple of years after me, but to make sure that physically, guys coming into the NRL were ready. That was a big thing. I think for me, physically, I probably wasn't ready, to be honest. I think going through and playing a game or two is fine, and I didn't really realise the magnitude of it at the time. But then going into that first sort of pre-season the following year, because I hadn't had a pre-season, I came through sort of midway through the year, I realised just how far off the mark I was to be able to physically compete with these guys week in, week out, these professional athletes who are the top of their field. So I definitely think that then me then playing ongoing from there, I was always playing catch up, and it probably took towards the back end of my career probably took its toll. The fact that I hadn't prepared my body for those initial couple of years. In saying that, you look at a guy like Joseph Suliali, and he's definitely physically a lot bigger and stronger than I was, and a lot of the younger guys were. So I suppose there's that aspect. So it's hard to have a blanket rule over everyone for that. But I think mentally as well, and as I spoke about in that video, you know, you are thrusted into the limelight. You know, I debuted while I was still here at school, and my debut game was actually the day before an English trial English exam. So literally within the space of 2 or 3 days, no one knew me to that following day coming back into school. You got camera crews out the front of the there. So it just changed my life overnight. And as I said there, I wasn't prepared for that, how to deal with that, how to sort of handle the pressure. And even back then, there wasn't social media back then as well. This was only sort of print and TV media as well. So I definitely had to learn very quickly, trial by fire, about how to deal with that. So in terms of, you know, with Joseph, there's obviously a lot more scrutiny on him, and he's had a lot more scrutiny even before he's had to make his debut. So I think he would have been well prepared by his club. So you know, for me, I don't think there should be a blanket age. I think it should be a case-by-case basis for the club to work out.
So you played over 250 NRL games, as Ms. Cook alluded to, and being a West Tigers and being a one-club man. When you debuted at 17, did you imagine or hope yourself to be retiring, playing that many games and all for that one club?
No, definitely not. And it's definitely not something you really think about when you debut. You just, you know, you play your first game, and then, you know, your dream is just playing one game. And then once you play your first game, you get that taste of it, then you just dream of playing your second, and then your third, and then you're just thinking of what can you achieve next. Then you just want to be in the starting side, and then you just want to improve. You don't really think about, oh, I want to play, you know, 250 games, I want to play 15 years. You want to play forever, basically, because it's the game that, you know, I've been playing since I've been 5 years old, the game I love. So you don't really think about those types of things. I think now, obviously, looking back on it, you know, very proud of the achievement, not only for, you know, playing that amount of games, that amount of years, but, you know, trying to overcome some of the challenges I've faced. And I suppose then looking back, the fact I have stayed as a one-club player means a lot to me. You know, the Tigers gave me a really good opportunity and showed faith in me when I was only 17 years of age. And I've made some of the, you know, some lifelong friends, you know, both players and people in and around the club. So, you know, I've been there for almost half of my life. So it definitely holds a special place in my heart.
You just alluded to that about the injuries you've overcome. So for any boys that might not know, the dislocated hip, and then I guess the multiple fractures in the cheekbone and things. What you showed amazing resilience to overcome that. What kept you motivated that whole time to keep getting back to that top level, play in the NRL?
Yeah, look, I think there's a couple of sort of different things with that. I think, you know, everyone is going to face sort of challenges, adversity, you know, setbacks, you know, in their lives. I even, you know, had multiple injuries, you know, when I was here at St. Greg's. And with every sort of little setback you face, you sort of learn a little lesson, and then it helps for the next one and the next one. And then I remember, you know, I was only still quite young when I dislocated my hip, and I'd only sort of 5 months earlier made my debut for Australia. So for me, the motivation then was to, obviously I had that taste of Test football when I was still only really young, to really get back for that. And there was a lot of obviously issues with that injury about potentially being career ending and things like that. So for me, I just had to, you know, learn a lot of the lessons I had learned previously to help me overcome that. And as I said, things change, and then obviously with my facial injury and basically breaking every bone in my face a couple of years ago, again, different stage of my career, back into my career, having a young family, the motivations change. A lot of people asked me, you know, why would you bother coming back? You know, I'd already played 13, I think, years at that stage. And for me, it was about, well, one, I understand why I wanted to come back, because if I didn't know why I was doing something, what, you know, that passion or the purpose was, then it's very hard to overcome anything. So for me, I understood what those drivers were and those motivations were, and a lot of that was to do with my family. And, you know, I had a young daughter, and, you know, she wasn't probably old enough to understand to see me play footy, so I really wanted to have her be at least old enough to understand that her dad, you know, played footy. And so I had the motivation, and then it was just about, you know, how do I do it? And for me, as I said, it was just learning the little lessons from every little setback that I've gone through my whole career to understand how I was going to get through that tough period, which everyone can do. I mean, everyone doesn't have to go through major injuries like that, but everyone goes through challenges, setbacks, and for me, the most important lesson I learnt from all that was there is a value and there is a positive message or a lesson you can learn out of those, and they're really valuable, and you can take them moving forward to help you in everything you're going through.
Stepping back, I guess, from your NRL career, can you remember your first grade St Greg's coach and the moment he told you you're going to debut for St Greg's first 13 and what that was like and the emotions you might have had?
Yeah, Mr. Grosvenor. Yeah, definitely remember that. It was actually mixed reaction because I got told I was making my debut, and then I then ended up playing club football. I think playing for West Juniors, broke my wrist. So didn't sort of get to. It was a bit prolonged, and took a bit longer to then make my debut for St Greg's first grade, but then eventually did. And for me, that was actually, I get asked a bit sort of coming to St Greg's, did you come to play football, and you always want to play first grade in NRL? And I said, when I came in to St Greg's in year 7, I didn't even think about playing NRL. All I wanted to do was play first grade for St Greg's, to run through that tunnel, and run out the field. And that's what you did, young kids coming through. I when I was in year 7, you had Ryan Hoffman, in year 12, and guys in and around the area who played for West and for Para and for Bulldogs, who were coming through the grades and starting to play first grade. But then you look up to them because they played footy for St Greg's. So it was that's all you wanted to do, and you just look forward to having the whole sort of school cheering you on. So yeah, it was when I got to do that, and again, even today, it's some very special and fond memories I look back on.
Being an old boy of the college, what would you say things that are values that you learnt from being a St Greg's student, and things that these guys might look forward to when they leave school, and the values that are carried on throughout your life and career?
Well, I think the first thing, and it's already sort of been mentioned a bit this morning, is respect. The value of being respectful, not only to others but to yourself, and respecting what your strengths are, and being true to yourself, and what you stand for is really important. I really feel like that was probably one of the number one things that helped me through my sporting career, and it's helped me in other endeavours as well, because it's a value that is crucial in all aspects. Doesn't matter if it's a professional sport, in all industries, and it's something that I've already witnessed it here straight away. I mean, just being able to walk down and see all you guys here being so respectful, as I said, brings back some of those old memories and things that don't change. And it's definitely something that I really realise how much a value I got from that when I left here. And probably a couple of other things, probably the mateship and the teamwork aspect, and again, that comes in with the respect, like sort of in a footy team and in any other sense. You guys here are like a team, and like in a footy team, there's going to be guys that you're not going to be best friends with everyone, but you learn to work together, you learn to be respectful of one another, and you actually help get the best out of each other. And I learnt that here and took that moving forward, really good. And for me, having that and being able to have those good positive habits allowed me to make my debut and still be able to train, finish my HSC and play and do all those things by just learning those positive habits and things that have got me through my whole career. I've come in the first couple of years of my career, and you see guys who might cut corners or have all these bad habits, but who are my age, but I learned all those really good habits here, and that sort of took me a long way in my career.
Awesome. So we'll move over on to Pat. I'll come back to your highlights at the end. Because you played so many professional rugby league games, as Mr. Cook said before, when I did the search, it was a bit contentious online how many you actually played, because there are so many. Between NRL and Super League, how many professional rugby league games have you played?
That on? Okay. I'll borrow that one. Oh, there we go. So yeah, I think all up, when you add them all up, is about 360, something like that. So a few aches and pains in the body, but well worth it. I lived a childhood dream of playing professional sport for so long. Like Chris debuted at 17, I was 18. I debuted for the Parramatta Eels at 18 and retired so when I was about 34. So I got to do something I loved and I was really passionate about, and it was amazing. A lot of footy over a couple of different countries. Got to live, play for the Eels, play for the Tigers, obviously, and then we moved over to England and also played in France as well. So I had some great experiences and met some great people along the way, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Besides the glorious beaches and the wonderful weather in England, what drew you to playing over there for so long?
When I was at Parramatta, I had a really bad knee injury. So I tore pretty much every ligament in my knee when I was about 19. It took me a good 12 months to get over. And then coming back, I just kept getting injured, and I had an opportunity to go overseas. And I just thought, well, if I don't take it now, I might not get this opportunity. So I decided to go. I thought we'd go overseas for 1 or 2 years, end up loving it and really enjoyed it. It was a big club called Wigan over there, and end up staying for 8 years. And I thought, I'm getting a bit old now. I really want to go back to the NRL. So I was fortunate enough, I ended up coming back to the West Tigers for a couple of years. Got to play with Chris. And sort of finish my NRL career, because if I didn't get a chance to come back, I always would have probably regretted it. But I wouldn't have changed anything about my career. I was pretty fortunate to play in some good sides, and we won some things. So got some great memories from it.
Awesome. Unfortunately, half the boys here today weren't even born when the greatest moment in sporting history happened in 2005 Grand Final. West Tigers won. Where the Benji Marshall flick pass to you, obviously scoring the try. We've got just a clip just to show some boys that might not have ever seen this in their life.
Flick pass was just, I think in the commentary, they said, who does that? I can't wait to see this flick pass. And you said, looks at that. I mean, who tries that? Who does that? Who hit the ball to Pat Richards? Was that a flick pass from Marshall? At the end, yeah. Oh, stop it. In fact, credit, most players, a lot of players, would have even caught that ball, they wouldn't have expected it.
The very fact that he was there to take that pass was huge in the first place, because he was very, very close to missing the grand final all up.
On the left-hand side of the field, Rod Jensen coming across, and he just went, see you later, straight in the bush. And next thing I knew, he defended Rod Jensen off and scored the try. You know, we sort of did that stuff for training a bit, but I don't know, I think it was funny. And luckily the ball went straight into his hands, and yeah, if it was anyone else, I wonder if they would have scored that try. Yeah, as soon as I picked the ball up, I sort of went straight for the line as soon as the cover came across. Rod Jensen was there, and I just saw him and caught it. Luckily I got it out, and it was probably the first time I've used a fender to ride it. The fin that he put on Rod Jensen was pretty enormous, and I'm just glad he was there to score the try. The fin was enormous.
Honest answer, Pat. How many times have you shown that to your son, Aiden?
Yeah, he's seen that a few times. It's crazy to be in a moment like that that's been replayed. Now when people think back to that grand final, that's the moment that always gets brought up. So I'm very fortunate to be in that position. Benji to flick that ball, you know, he was doing that sort of stuff from a young kid, so he came through. I've probably seen him come through. He was about 17, 18 at that stage as well, and he played that way, and Tim Sheen's our coach, sort of allowed us to play that way because we train like that. So he would practice basketball throwing and flick passing, and so doing that for a couple of years, and it finally came out on the big stage that Benji, I don't really know, I didn't really realise that he flicked the pass until a few days later that it kept seeing it on the thing. I just sort of stuck my hand out, and the ball sort of just stuck to it, and then I thought, okay, well if I don't fend Rod Jensen away here, I'm gone. So luckily enough, I just do it. But it was a moment that happened so fast, but it still gets replayed. So I could have been. I'm lucky that I'm not Rod Jensen. If he sees that all the time, he's probably not enjoying that. So to be in a special moment like that is something that I'll live with forever. And the most important thing was we ended up winning the game and celebrating with everyone. So it was a huge moment to be involved in.
What would your advice be to, say, young sportsmen here, not just obviously rugby league, soccer, cricket, AFL, union? What would your advice be, I guess, being this age, and if they've got the aspirations, how can they get there?
So my advice to anyone to do anything is you've got to enjoy it. You've got to absolutely love it. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Everyone fails. It's about just having a go and I suppose working hard at it. So if you are a cricketer, just pick up a cricket bat or a bowl and just go and just put some time into it. And the more passion and the more hard work you put into anything, you'll get results out of it. Like Chris sort of said, when he was 17 coming through, 1 or 2 games he could play, but it's day in, day out. Once you want to get to that, like when I was at school as well, I just wanted to play. I just wanted to play for the first grade team at my school as well, and I was lucky enough to play because I went to Westfield Sports High School, and I was lucky enough to play on the oval here against St Greg's, and that was a huge moment for me to play in front of a big crowd. All the kids from school were there, so that was one of the first times I'd ever played in a big moment like that. So. To anyone, it's just follow your dreams and just enjoy it. You have to enjoy it. So that's my advice to anyone.
Last few questions for both of you. Let's just go top moment of your career, top highlight instead of 3. What's your top highlight of your career, whether it be throughout the whole 15 years or when you were younger?
I think by default your debut is always pretty special. But aside from that, in 2011, after discounting I was fortunate enough to come back and then make the Australian squad to go on tour in England for the Four Nations, and lucky enough to play every game. And I actually got to play in the Four Nations final, which we beat England, and it was Darren Lockyer's last ever game. So it was sort of, now looking back on that, Darren Lockyer probably going to be an immortal one day, and to play literally alongside him, as I was playing right centre, right next to him. And to, after everything I'd been through that year and to win that game and play his last game, it definitely sort of a memory I'll never forget.
Yeah, I suppose like Chris said, the debut moments when I finally got a call to get an NRL jersey, it was an amazing feeling to have my family there. We played the Melbourne Storm on a Friday night in 2000, and that was so special because it was sort of like it happens like that. The year before that I was at school as well, so it does happen pretty fast, and that was a huge moment. But obviously winning the grand final with the Tigers, and also when I was in England, we won a few titles as well. They're the ones that I really remember. So we won grand finals at Old Trafford where Manchester United play, and we won Challenge Cups at Wembley. So playing at those really big stadiums over there, and celebrating with your teammates. And just the memories that I've gotten out of the game. They're the big ones that I sort of take with me.
What were your favourite subjects at school?
PE and business studies.
What was your mark in the HSC for them?
I don't know what it was for those, but I think my official mark overall, I think it was 90 or 91, but I tell my sister it was like 90, 0.5, whatever she got. I think she got 96, so I just say 96.5. So she still this day believes that I beat her because I just lied to her and said I got 96.5.
Yeah, I went to a sports high school, so we had sport was a subject then. So that was probably one of them. PE, I liked maths as well. In the 90s for my HSC, no, I'm not going to really talk about that. Chris has got me there. So, I wish I did try a bit harder at school. So for anyone out there, if I could talk to myself back to when I was you guys, I'd knuckle down a lot harder and do my study and all that. But I was fortunate enough that sport worked out for me because it might not. So knuckle down, kids.
Last question. Besides the West Tigers winning the competition, who do you think is going to give them a run for their money to win the comp this year?
I think there's going to be a few sides, and I think it's going to come down to sort of injuries. I think even though they sort of lost last night, I think South's still going to be very hard to beat. I think them at their best once they're sort of got a bit of match fitness, and if they fire, I think they're the top side on their game. I don't think many sides in the competition have the same firepower. And then you've obviously got Penrith as well. Penrith are such a young team, and I think that experience last year from getting to the grand final, and they were very consistent last year for a young team. With so many young players, consistency is usually hard. So them to be so consistent throughout the year, I think it's a good time for this year. So I think those two teams are probably going to be the toughest sides.
Obviously, the West Tigers are going to win the comp again. No, I'd say the other side who played last night, Melbourne, they've obviously Cameron Smith is retired, but we were lucky enough to have Harry Grant with us last year, and I think he's the real deal. He's going to really fit in really well down there, and I think they're sort of like a machine where as many players that come out of that place, like Greg Inglis and Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, Cameron Smith, they just keep rolling along. It's an amazing setup they got down there, so I think they will be thereabouts. Penrith obviously as well. They've got some really good young kids that have got another year into them as well. So yeah, it's exciting to have the footy back on. Everyone's excited to see it back on. So yeah, see how they go.
That concludes Q&A, boys. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Richards, for sharing your insights with us this morning, and thanks to Mr. Bullock for leading the Q&A. Mr. Cook will now present awards and teams for the summer season.
Moving to our first group of recipients, I would invite our 2021 College Swimming Age Champions to the side of the stage, please. Our college swim team participated at the ISA Swimming Championships for the first time on Wednesday. As part of our commitment to the ISA sporting competition, St Greg's will now be competing in 2 competitions annually between the swimming, cross country and athletics, and we have sure made our mark on the swimming carnival. Our 33 students had a rough start. There was some marshalling errors made on my behalf, but the college staff informed me that they couldn't have been prouder of the boys, as several students who had more than enough races gave up some races to help out their fellow students who were without one. This is such a fantastic example of compassion, and to contribute to this act, our team experienced fantastic results throughout the day. If Oliver Pullen could present our junior boys trophy, who placed second. If Chris Seaton could present our intermediate boys, who placed first. And our college swim captain, Will Windsor, to present our senior boys first place trophy and our overall Division 2 winning trophy. Please give the college swim team a round of applause. Don't go too far away, boys. The announcement of our college age champions and our champion house. Our 12 years age champion is Aidan Boga from Killian. Our 13 age champion is Jackson Coleman from Donovan. Aidan, if you're there. Our 15s age champion from Killian, Oliver Pullen. Our 16s age champion from Killian, John Demeco Connell, who is absent. 17 years age champion, Chris Seaton from Killian. And I've been informed that Riley Parrish is here. And our 18 years Opens champion from Molloy, Will Windsor. There were 2 records broken on the day. Will broke a 20-year-old record for the Opens 200 metre individual medley in a time of 2 minutes 31. And Jackson Smith, another member of the college team from Year 8, broke a 17-year-old record in the under-14 200 metre individual medley. If I could get our Year 12 house captains, possibly to the side of the stage, and we'll present our champion house. In 4th place, on 3,714, is Laurentian. In third place on 3,855 is Donovan. In second place on 4,911 is Malloy. And our champion house for 2021, 5,688 points, Killian House. Well done to our college swim team, our age champions and our house captains. Please applaud our swimming representatives. As a result of our Division 2 win at the ISA Swimming Carnival, the college has been promoted to Division 1 and we'll be sure to give it a shake-up next year as well. Well done, boys. Our next group of recipients are our MCS and New South Wales CCC representatives. We'll start off with the tennis. Our senior students travelled to Parramatta yesterday to compete at the Tennis Championships. As Miss Parsons has informed me, the MCS Tennis Shield is back in its rightful place after a hectic effort by our Open Boys squad. We had 5 out of 6 teams make the semi-finals and 3 of those progressed to the finals. Our under-17 runner-up, Montel Muri. Our 17s doubles age champion, Declan Byram and John McDonald. And our Opens runners-up, Taj Crescent and Zoros Navales. And our presentation of the Open Boys Shield to Miss McMaster to be made by Taj. Moving to our MCS pathways. Stay there, boys. You're fine. Stay up there. That's fine. Several students went and trialled for our MCS touch football representative team. The following students were selected: under 15s, Liam Walsh. Opens, Joshua Sykes and James Sykes. Jack Rule was also selected as a shadow. These students will compete on the 31st of March at Nelson's Bay. They are required to board a bus at 5 a.m. from Blacktown before travelling for 3 hours, playing multiple games throughout the day and then travelling back to Sydney, returning at 11 p.m. We wish Mr. Coffey, the coach, and these students all the very best for their travel. "18 young men went to Parramatta Murrish yesterday to trial for the MCS Rugby League teams, our under-15s and Opens. Mr. Bullock and Mr. Coffey have informed me that the boys represented the college very well. Final selections are still being made, and those people that were successful will be revealed in the short amount of time. Our New South Wales CCC softballers. Carrying on their efforts from last year, the college once again has representatives in the New South Wales CCC team. Our recipients: Evan Wolfe, Joel Byrne, who's absent, and Oliver Stewart. These boys competed at the All Schools Carnival on Tuesday and performed very well for the CCC team. With strong individual performances, Joel and Evan were selected to play in the Possible and Probables game, and were then also selected in the New South Wales All Schools team, which will compete at the Australian Championships in Perth in September. Would you please congratulate our softballers? Also strong in the CCC cricket department, we had a strong contingent of numbers trialling at these team championships. We had 3 successful candidates from the under-16 team, Riley Kingsell. And from the Opens or Under-19 CCC team, Matthew Canellis and Liam Sutton. Josh Shipley has also been selected as a shadow. Riley will compete next week at the All-School Championships in Glendenning, while Matt and Liam will compete in April at the All-Schools Championships in Maitland. Would you please congratulate our cricketers? Also this week, we sent a strong number of representatives to the CCC volleyball trials. As with last year, we have several students that were selected in the CCC team. Please welcome Mark Ombina, Jaden Alvarez and Alex Pukowski. These three gents will now compete at the All Schools Championships on the 11th of June at Homebush. Would you please congratulate all of our college representatives? Our next group of recipients are from our MCS summer competitions. As the summer season has come to an end, and with several championship winning teams, I invite our grand finalists to the side of the stage. Our college first grade and third grade 11s had impressive seasons and qualified for the MCS semi-finals. The first 11 finished the season with 4 wins and a loss. They took on Eastwood in the semi-final and won convincingly, which placed them against St Dominic's in the final. The third 11 finished equal second place with a perfect season of 3 wins from 3 games. They placed Fairfield in the semi and easily won the game to progress to play against Parramatta. Unfortunately, both of these games were washed out, and in such a case, both teams have been named joint premiers. I invite the college first 11, coached by Mr Morrissey and scorer Mrs Farias, Isaac Gasson, Andrew Salian, Riley Kingsell, Harrison Quinn, Blake Ciscato, Manoj Weerasingham, Hayden Tipping, Jared Elphick, Jacob Shortland, Liam Sutton, Strawn Carlisle, Matt Canellis, and Joshua Shipley. Would you please congratulate our first 11? Our third 11. First up, Luke Lejudice. Got it. Phonetic spelling. Joshua Newell. Patrick Ward. Matthew Levi, who's absent. Brodie Roth. James Rogan. Patrick Smalley. Aaron Phillip. Tom Grant. Kean Boyne, who's absent. Lucas Braithwaite. Sam Shortland, Josh Lagozo, and Ben Colburn. Would you please congratulate our third 11? Our 10B Opens cricket team finished their season on top of the table with 4 wins and 1 loss. They too also experienced a rain-affected semi-final and progressed through to the final as they were the highest seeded team. They took on Eastwood in the final and were unfortunate to come off second best. Well done to a good season, boys. Lincoln Parmiter, Archie Knott, Patrick Salicic, Jeremiah Wag, Nicholas Platts, Darcy Weston, Ben Taylor, Will Kosis, Patrick Bird, Cameron Salter, Lachlan Good, and Jack Noy. Would you please congratulate the 10B cricket team. And lastly, our Year 9 Opens basketball team. The Year 9s finished on top of their table, equal with St Dominic's. They won their semi-final against Fairfield and were soon facing off their nemesis from the 2020 Grand Final, St Dominic's. Not much has changed in 2 years, as the Year 9s once again proved too good and ran out winners 49-42. Dylan Sharp was the standout, and Mason Hunter was named Finals MVP by the referees. Great job, boys. The only thing better than a repeat is a three-peat. I invite the students to the stage to present their Premier's Trophy and to receive their gold medals. Lucas Donnelly, Hayden Mosley, Patrick Mannion, Chasen Mulholland, Brodie McClelland, Lachlan Suffel, Callum McMenemy, Dylan Sharp, Taj Stapleton, Isaac Sykes, and Captain Mason Hunter to present Mr McMaster the trophy. You need to read the newsletter if you'd like a more in-depth response from Mrs Giles, one very proud coach. And congratulations to once again our repeat winners, our Year 9 boys basketball team. I would also like to acknowledge our Opens ISA basketball team, who will take on St Andrews in the ISA Grand Final this weekend. After losing to St Andrews in the latest round match, the boys will have to step up if they want to get the job done on Saturday. All the best to the ISA Open Boys basketball team. To be selected in the college first grade team that competes in MCS competitions, New South Wales CCC competitions and other elite sporting events such as the Australian Schoolboy Cup, it is a great privilege and responsibility which so many students strive for over their schooling career. As you've just heard Chris speak, one of his proudest moments was representing that college first grade team. That's all he wanted to do when he was Year 7. These students will be expected to demonstrate the college values at all time. They are to be held accountable. They set the bar. These students are responsible for continuing and maintaining our existing college traditions. In recognising these traditions, I would now invite Mr McMaster and Mr Richards to assist with the jersey presentations for our 2021 first grade football team. Liam Starr from Gregory Hills, defender. Tommy Mandarano from Bringelly, defender. Lucas Rapatoni from Harrington Park, defender. Andrew Parkin from Eldersley, goalkeeper. Joshua Dengate from Narellan Vale, striker. Alexander Mullen from Narellan Vale, defender. Dominic Rajasi from Grassmere, defender. Strong Carlisle from Glen Alpine, striker. Bailey Suiters from Mount Annan, midfielder. Caven Limbry from Campbelltown, striker. Zach Stewart, Camden Park, defender. Harry Gilder from Harrington Park, striker. Evan Limbiris from Catherine Field, midfielder. Declan Price from Picton, goalkeeper. And Matthew Meredith from the Oaks, striker. Would you please congratulate our college first grade football team? And last but not least, I forgot the number one, the gaffer, Mr. Witten, the coach. Boys, if you can hang around towards the end of the assembly and we'll get some more official photos taken, please. And now to our Rugby League first grade squad. If I ask Mr. McMaster and Mr. Lawrence to present the jerseys. Lachlan Bush from the Narellan Vale, forward. Thomas Carroll from Springvale, forward. Zakuri Clark from Lamia, forward. Cooper Cross from Barawa, forward. Ryan Eager from Horsley Park, forward. Jason Fialafani from Minto, forward. Dylan Fabraish from Appin, forward. Thomas Fletcher from Quambone, forward. Thomas Fisher, Eldersley, forward. William Grabowski from Harrington Park, backs. Charlie Geimer from Temora, backs. Emmanuel Kandidakis from Campbelltown, also in the back line. Heath Mason, our only Year 10 student from Thelmy, also in the back line. Jardine Norrie from Razorback, forwards. Cody Parry from West Tamworth, back line. Jack Rule from Port Hacking, the back line. Liam Sutton from Buxton, halves. James Sykes from Torrens in the ACT, the backs. Joshua Sykes from Binalong in the back line. Cipriano Vahia from Lamia, forward. And coach of the first 13, Mr. Michael Bullock. Would you please congratulate our first grade rugby league team for 2021. Once again, boys, if you can stay behind at the conclusion of the assembly for a team photo with our special guests. As Ms McMaster had pointed out, it's only been 7 weeks in term 1, and yet we have so many individual and team sporting achievements. Yesterday marked round 1 of our MCS winter competition. Our football teams played, and it was so good to see all the boys wearing the college colours, representing the college to the highest ability. I look forward to presenting our winter MCS champions in future weeks. I encourage you to keep on working hard in the classroom and on the sporting field. Strive to be the best and wear our college logo with pride every time you step onto the field or step into the classroom. Thank you to our special guests, Mr. Pat Richards and Mr. Chris Lawrence. If our college leaders could present them with a little thank you. Thank you for your time and assisting with our presentations today, gentlemen. Can you please give our special guests a round of applause? Thank you for your time and patience today, boys. That concludes our assembly today. I'll hand you over to Mr. Brooks for dismissal. Thank you, boys.
Please stand for the singing of the Subtuum.
Please be seated, boys. Gentlemen, just before we leave the Assembly this morning, obviously just to thank all the staff and the students who were responsible for the Assembly, but just to thank every boy and every staff member that was involved in our summer sporting season. And if I could ask you just to join with me in thanking all of those staff and students, and Mr Cook as the leaders. Okay, as you would be aware, we've gone over time with the Assembly. However, I know that Year 10 have a